There are places where nothing is alive anymore. No people, no movement, only signs that something once existed. This is not a story about destruction. There are no ruins here, no collapsed cities, no broken monuments. It is a story about what remains after everything else has quietly left. The ground beneath my feet is dry and cracked, as if water has not touched it for years. Each step feels heavy, not because of danger, but because of silence. This place resembles a forest, yet nothing grows. Trees stand without leaves, their branches frozen in positions they will never change. There is no wind moving through them, no insects, no distant sound of animals. The silence feels complete, almost intentional. There are no signs of human life, no roads cutting through the land, no buildings on the horizon, no voices carried by the air. It feels as if people were never meant to be here, and yet the land feels familiar, like something once passed through and then quietly disappeared. Not fleeing, not escaping, just leaving. Ahead lies a wide lake, or what used to be one. The water's completely gone, leaving only its shape behind. The surface is uneven, broken like dried skin under harsh light. Scattered across the ground are the remains of fish. They did not vanish with the water. They stayed. No one returned to collect them. No one cleaned this place. No one marked what was lost. Time simply moved on. There is no smell of decay here, no sign of recent movement. Everything feels suspended between moments, not alive, not destroyed, just unfinished. This does not feel like the result of a single disaster. There are no signs of panic, no broken machines, no messages left behind, only absence. Above, the sky feels wrong. The light is dark and red, as if the color itself has changed permanently. Occasionally, lightning cuts through the clouds, not to warn, not to threaten, only to remind that something is still moving above. The sound feels distant, like it belongs to another time, a time that no longer exists here. This place does not feel violent. It feels quiet, like a slow ending that happened without witnesses. Some places do not end with noise or fire. They do not collapse. They do not explode. They simply stop being part of the world. I try to imagine what this place once was. Who walked here? What voices filled the air? What sounds marked the passing of days? But the land offers no answers. It does not remember. Or perhaps it no longer needs to. Time has a way of smoothing things out, not by healing them, but by making them irrelevant. Nothing here is trying to be remembered. Nothing asks for attention. Nothing demands meaning. This place exists, but it no longer feels connected to everything else. It feels like something left behind after the world decided to move forward without looking back. There are no signs marking the end, no boundaries separating then and now, no clear moment when everything stopped, only the quiet understanding that whatever belonged here is gone. And maybe that is what makes this place unsettling. Not fear, not danger, but the realization that the world does not always end loudly. Sometimes it simply forgets. The air feels heavier the longer I stay. Not thick, not oppressive, just still. It is the kind of stillness that settles after everything that needed to happen has already happened. There are no echoes of footsteps here, no marks in the soil to suggest direction, no signs of hesitation or urgency. Whatever left this place did so without doubt. Time behaves differently here. It does not move forward. It does not move backward. It simply stretches. Moments feel longer when there is nothing waiting on the other side. I begin to realize that this place was not abandoned in a hurry. There was no moment of realization, no sudden decision to leave. The absence feels deliberate, like a conclusion reached slowly, over years that no one bothered to count. Even the sky seems detached from this land. Clouds drift without pattern. Light changes without purpose. Day and night pass without leaving an impression. If something ended here, it did so quietly, without resistance, without witnesses. This place does not ask to be understood. It does not explain itself. It does not offer clues. It simply exists in the space between relevance and memory. I stopped trying to imagine what came before. The question no longer feels important. What matters is what remains after meaning has faded. This place is not empty. It is complete. Nothing here is missing. Nothing is waiting to return. The world did not forget this place by accident. It moved on because it could. And perhaps that is the most unsettling thought of all. Not that everything ends, but that endings do not require permission. They happen when attention shifts elsewhere. I leave without marking the path behind me, not because I am afraid of returning, but because there is no reason to. Some places are not meant to be revisited, not because they are dangerous, but because they are finished. This is one of them. As I stand here longer, the idea of time begins to lose its meaning. Nothing marks its passage. No shadows move with intention. No sounds rise or fade to suggest direction. It feels as though time did not stop, but simply stopped caring. This place does not resist decay because decay never arrived. Things did not fall apart here. They were left exactly as they were, waiting for nothing. I begin to understand that this is not a place of loss, but a place of release. Whatever belonged here was not taken away. It was allowed to leave. There is a strange calm in that realization. Not comfort, not relief, just acceptance. The world beyond this place continues, full of noise, motion, and urgency. But none of that reaches here. This land exists outside of consequence, outside of explanation. It no longer needs to justify itself to anyone. Perhaps that is why it feels so complete. Nothing here is unfinished. Nothing here is incomplete. The story did not end abruptly. It reached its final sentence and simply stopped being read. And maybe that is what makes places like this important. Not because they teach us something, but because they remind us that not everything needs to continue forever. Some things are allowed to end, quietly, without meaning, without resistance, and when they do, the world does not collapse. It simply moves on. Before I leave, I take one last look around. Not to remember it, but to acknowledge that it existed. This place does not need witnesses. It does not need to be preserved. Its meaning is not in what it was, but in the fact that it no longer tries to be anything else. Some endings are not tragedies. They are conclusions. And when they arrive, the only thing left to do is let them be. And with that understanding, I let the silence remain undisturbed. Some places are not meant to continue. They are meant to rest.